Alright, I'm gonna see if I can get this in one go this time. We have here here's the new computer lying on its side because the drawer for the CD, DVD, burner, reader, well, the entire drive, not just the door. It would be really awkward if the door was mounted sideways and the drive wasn't. There's the display, by the way. Nice big flat screen. Some DVDs, haven't even cracked them open yet. There's the CDs that I have transferred files from onto the, well, I've copied them. I haven't transferred them. And the silly little webcam, which the software provided is, for some reason, and I have one more thing to check, because there's a separate folder for DivX on the installation CD that I might have to run separately. It seems to me that it would do that as part of the installation of the camera drivers. Could be wrong, but that might be why I can record audio along with the video using Windows Moviemaker, but I'm not catching audio. It's not encoding into the video when I use the software provided with the camera, which really kind of ticks me off. And if the DivX installation thing isn't what the problem is, I'm taking it back and I'm finding something that'll probably cost more, but if it works, then it works, and costing less doesn't really matter if it doesn't work. So, the Salon for today, the topic is morality versus ethics. See, and the thing is, I cannot tell you just how far back I started realizing there was a difference. I know at some point, when I was still but a wee babe, well, I was walking around and stuff, not a babe, not a babe in arms, not even more than a toddler, but a kid, a child. I realized that there was stuff that other people who I knew were doing that didn't line up with what my parents had taught me or were trying to teach me was right and wrong. And I started realizing, you know, there's this, there's this kind of stuff over here, and there's this kind of stuff over here, that way. I won't try to get my hand into the picture anymore, okay? Now, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure that where I first ran into anybody else's thinking on the subject, at least that it registered, I have pretty much pinpointed to Robert A. Heinlein. Might be Harlan Ellison, might be Spider Robinson, because they do some of this kind of stuff also. As a long shot, Piers Anthony might say something about it, like particularly in his books of Planet Tarot, but pretty sure it was Heinlein. And it might even be the discussion of cannibalism between Jubal Harshaw and one of his male attendants in Stranger in a Strange Land. I'm really not sure about that, because it seems like if it was Stranger in a Strange Land, that I would be able to pinpoint it better, just because the book has been such an influence on my life, my thinking, my viewpoint, attitude, etc., etc. If you've never read it, you really need to. That and the Dune series will clue you into a lot of things about how religion works that you might afterwards feel like you were better off not knowing, but you're really better off knowing, even if you don't like knowing. So, if it was Stranger in a Strange Land, it was like some 30 odd years ago, which is a long time to carry around an assumption, I guess I have to call it, that in the meantime went unchallenged, pretty much. I mean, there are some people who will try to tell you that their ethical behavior is moral, and I'll be getting to that. But other than that, no sincere argument against the idea that there might be a difference between morals and ethics. So a couple of weeks ago, somebody I know in real life, who's also one of my Facebook friends, had a status message bemoaning some of the various things that humans have done in the name of their morals and creeds and whatever, and I said I would be a lot happier with that item on the list if you had said ethics rather than morality. And one of his friends just about jumps down my throat about morals and ethics being the same thing, and whether it was then or after I said, well, I've stated my opinion and I'm going to hold to it, and I have my reasons for doing so, he directs me to a page on the UCLA website, which I didn't even bother looking at, an essay that he feels proves his point. I'll tell you what I did do was I Googled difference, morality, ethics, and on the first page I came up with at least 4 hits, because I looked at like 4 out of the first 5 or 6. And on 2 of them there were ongoing discussions concerning the differences between morality and ethics, none of which quite lined up with what I was saying about it, but the relevant point here would be they were discussing the fact, in their opinion at any rate, that there was indeed a difference between morality and ethics, whatever that difference or those differences might be. Nobody was going, oh, you guys are just a bunch of dumbasses because it's all things so funny. You're a bunch of mouth breathers. See, because, you know, when it's a matter of opinion versus opinion, I don't have a problem with people saying, this is my opinion and I think your opinion is wrong. If you have, but to act like morals is ethics and this is a universal viewpoint when a simple Google search proves that idea positively false really hurts me. It really pisses me off. And I went through, you know, even before that, I went through like 4 or 5 drafts of stuff I wanted to say to this guy about his viewpoint, and I wound up saying, you know what, I really don't have the time, I can't be bothered, I just blocked him, because I don't need that kind of shit in my life. Now, what I said as far as my opinion, as far as the difference between morals and ethics, is that morality is about what's right and what's wrong. Ethics is about what is legal. And maybe, I doubt it would have helped any, but for the purposes of this salon, maybe it would help a bit if I actually point out and admit and allow that, you know, there's some overlap here. I mean, basically, even though one further contention that this fellow made was that, therefore, since ethics and morals are the same thing, there's no ethical act that can, it is impossible for an ethical act to be immoral. I'll get to that. I'll get to it right now. Some of the activities which were considered ethical in their day and perhaps even moral. Oh, okay, not going to get to that quite yet. Because, technically speaking, even though, in my opinion, there are some acts which would be ethical but immoral, ethics can be considered to be a subset of morality in which the concern is what is allowed, what's legal, as opposed to what's good, what's right or wrong. And so some activities which were considered ethical in their day and technically speaking in the context of their native milieu, including the era in which they occurred, still are ethical, like I say, in context, which are now considered immoral. Persecution of Jews by Romans, persecution of Christians by Jews, persecution of Christians by Romans, persecutions of Gentiles, that is to say, all non-Jews by Jews, particularly of Philistines and Samaritans, oppression and enslavement of Native Americans by Europeans in North, Central, and South America, oppression, enslavement, transport away from homelands, breaking up of families, etc., of Africans by Europeans, the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades, various witch hunts, Nazi Germany, and actually in none of my drafts have I gotten past Nazi Germany, but technically speaking, the list doesn't end there. But I would like to pause for a moment to highlight the Nazi regime in particular, because if you want to talk about ethical, the Nazis had an ethos. They were highly ethical. However, they were also, from the rest of the world's point of view, at least for the most part, highly immoral. We, by which I mean Western society, particularly that part of it comprised of the United States of America and most of the rest of Europe, were so terribly appalled by the actions of the Germans that in addition to using pre-existing words and concepts, we also created terminology to cover those aspects of the Germans' behavior that had not previously been in any need of definition, war crimes being amongst the chief of these. And we rounded up as many Nazis as we could when we invaded Germany, and we hunted them down, those who escaped, those that we could find, and some of them were still looking for, I imagine, even though most of them would still have gotten out to somewhere, would have died by now. And those that we could get our hands on, we put on trial. And when they claimed that they had merely been following orders, we opined that they should have known better. And we executed them. And our claimed outrage was not ethical in nature. It was moral. This is a moral outrage. Now you can claim that an ethical system is also a set of moral values, but unless it really is a set of moral values, what your claim is an attempt to dodge the bullet of responsibility for those of your actions which are indeed ethical but not moral. This is why, as far as I can figure out in all my years of pondering these questions, this range of questions, this field of behavior, it's convenient. And it's legal, so it's allowed, so I can do it, so I can do it, so it's right because I can do it. Because it's legal. Don't tell me it's wrong. It's legal. I'm allowed. I can do it. Doesn't matter that it sets people out on the streets. It doesn't matter that it means that people starve while my kids don't have to worry about where they're going to college and they drive BMWs. Doesn't matter that they are poor and starving, because I got mine and it's legal. It's allowed. An ethos allows you to say that you are right according to the demands that you put on yourself, which may be none, and that you are good because you are right. In short, that you are good because you are you. At the same time, it allows you to judge others as being right or good when they meet the demands that you place upon them, which in an ethos may very well be much more stringent than those which you place upon yourselves, and may indeed in that context be contradictory and paradoxical. In an ethos, you often see that those who make the rules hold themselves to be above them. In a moral system, whether it or not it is also an ethos, everything applies equally to everyone. One of the other problems that I had with this other fellow's contentions was that he stated that the study of ethics is called moral philosophy, and that may well be the case, and I don't care why, but one of the problems that I have with that, just in general, maybe not even having any direct definitive connection to that, but in reading various philosophers, many of whom attempt to posit what they call a natural moral law, that at the bottom of everything there's something that's there, that's innate. I don't see one. The closest that I do see to a natural moral law would be that if you are aware or believe that the actions of someone else toward you are wrong or harmful or whatever, and therefore that they should not behave in that manner, then you should be equally aware that it is wrong for you to do that to someone else, even if it's the same person who's doing it to you, but especially when it's somebody else who, as far as this situation is concerned, is a relative innocent. I know people who in the same breath can complain about somebody else doing something to them and turn around and do that to somebody else. And they don't even have a clue that this is what they're doing. That they've just made themselves a hypocrite in the eyes and ears of everybody else watching them and listening to them do this. Oh, Johnny ripped me off. I need a couple dollars for the taxi, so I take it out of Mary's purse or whatever. But I'm good because I'm right. Because I'm right because I'm me. If you know it's wrong for somebody else to do it to you, then you should know it's wrong for you to do it to someone else, even if it's the same person who did it to you.